Welcome to my presentation on SoFi stock. So if you've been watching this channel, I am very bullish on SoFi. So I decided to make a presentation on what I like about the stock, some possible risks, and basically put it out there. And if anyone watching this has another opinion or thinks that I'm wrong, I'd love to hear why in the comments below because I am very invested in the stock and obviously I want to learn as much about it. So here's my presentation. Before we begin, if you end up liking this video, check out the CWT Stock Club. It's the best way to support this channel. You can find the link in bio or the description. Now let's begin. So is SoFi stock a buy? First, I want to look at the company's financials. First, it's trading at a PS ratio of 3.31, which is price divided by sales. So with SoFi, they did have a profitable quarter last year and are expected to be profitable this year, which I'll get into. But right now, obviously I have to actually value it by the sales that it has. It also has a price to book ratio of 1.31. Total cash, they have total cash of $3.2 billion and debt of $5.37 billion, which gives them a current ratio of 1.41, which is actually pretty good, meaning that, their actual debt itself, they're in a very good position to pay it. So with that, I also want to look at their growth. So growth is the big reason that I'm very bullish on SoFi as a company. They have quarterly revenue growth right now of 36.6%. And looking at their earnings per share estimate, which is what most analysts are actually predicting. So with all these numbers, it is the average analyst, like what the actual average is that they are expected to do this year. So with earnings per share, which is what I care about the most, they're predicted to have a profitable year this year, which will be their first profitable year as a publicly traded company. They're expected to make 8 cents for every share that they have in 2024. But what's really important and what I really like is that in 2025, they're predicted to get 24 cents for every share that they have, which you can see from there, they're expected to actually have an insane amount of growth with their actual earnings. So, and to show that in perspective, in 2023, their total earnings per share was negative 36 cents. So as you can see, not only are they reaching profitability, but they're expected to grow in profitability really quickly. And that is one reason that I'm very bullish on the actual stock. Now, revenue I included as well. Some people don't really care about like the actual revenue growth as much because they really just care about if the earnings are actually growing, since that's what the company keeps and what the shareholders, eventually get in dividends. But I actually care a lot about how the revenue is growing because, if revenue is growing, insanely, even if the earnings aren't as much, it's still when you see earnings rapidly increasing, it still shows an increase in likelihood of future profits. So with that, in 2024, revenue is expected to grow by 15% and reach $2.39 billion. In 2025, revenue is expected to grow by 18%, reaching $2.82 billion. And to show us comparison, in 2023, the company made $2.07 billion, which is another thing showing the actual increase in revenue the company has, another source of increased growth. So with that, what you can kind of see with SoFi, the company is growing insanely fast. And one thing I did not include in the presentation, which should have, is that not only are they growing in revenue and likely growing in earnings, they're also growing in users, which is the actual factor that I care about the most with this stock. The fact that the company is able to get so many more people, every single year, every single quarter, to actually be using the app is awesome as well because they have a huge ability to cross sell. Someone might download SoFi for an investing app, and then also, I think SoFi is amazing at marketing this way. SoFi is really easy to get them to open up a bank account. And if they do that, maybe they're buying a home one day and they take out a loan. The fact that the company is able to grow users as much as they are is amazing because the actual revenue and earnings that they're making off the users this year, I think will be a lot higher next year and the year after that because they're able to cross sell so well. So that's another factor in the growth that I also consider when buying the stock. One thing I also want to look at is that if you look at SoFi, it's not done very well lately, or the stock hasn't. It fell by quite a bit, and I wanted to mention why. So SoFi is adding $750 million in debt via a convertible note. And, with that, with a convertible note, the debt could become stock, which would dilute shareholders. So when this was announced, SoFi took a huge hit. But Here's how this could actually be a good thing. So, one thing that SoFi is doing is they're planning to use this debt to redeem certain preferred stock that is costing the company 12.5% in annual dividends. This means that if the convertible note, if the interest rate is below 12.5%, that by taking this debt, the company which should actually be getting more profit to end up using. So I think that long term, yes, it might be a short hit, but I think long term this could actually be good for the stock. So it's kind of like a summary, reasons that I'm bullish on SoFi. Their business segments like banking and investing are growing, and the more risky segments like loans are becoming less of risk because of that. So I've seen a lot of analysts who are bearish on SoFi say that the big reason why is because of the loans that they have. They're worried about people actually being able to pay those loans back. Obviously, if they can't, that hurts SoFi a lot, which could, in turn affect the stock greatly. But because banking, investing, and the other segments of the business are growing at the rate they are, I think SoFi is actually in a really good position because even if some of the loans don't end up working out, or the loan segment in general is becoming a lot less of a risk because if you take out loans, SoFi itself is still a good business and it's still a growing business because banking especially is growing at an absolutely insane rate. Also, I touched on this already, but SoFi had a profitable quarter in 2023 and are expected to have a profitable 2024. SoFi is a very high growing company, so they haven't been profitable. They've been putting absolutely everything back into the business, which I think is great because it's allowed them to grow so quickly. But now SoFi is still expected to be growing quickly while also making a profit and actually, hopefully, in the future, giving shareholders some of that money as well. So that's another reason I'm very bullish on the stock. And because SoFi is growing users very quickly and growing revenue around that, I think they have a lot of potential to be a very high earning company. So those are the reasons that I'm bullish on SoFi and believe that it is a good stock. Thank you so much for actually listening to the presentation. Subscribe to the channel and join the CWT Stock Club. Link in bio and description is a stock club that I do where we talk about actually like finding stocks that are growing very quickly, trading at reasonable valuations, investing strategy, stuff like that. So make sure to join it. And thank you so much for watching the presentation.